Journalist Elna Cressy to host Huw and Gruff.
Hi. How's it going? I'm Elena. I am a Welsh journalist, as I was introduced earlier. I come from just outside Cardiff, so hopefully I'm well versed enough in the Welshness, at least, to chat about this. So, obviously joining me here today, we've got the protagonist. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Well, obviously I'm Huw. You can't escape me. Sick of my face, and it's very weird, isn't it? Seeing yourself on a screen for an hour and a half. So, first of
How
all,
weird was that for you?
Very weird, very weird. Thanks for coming to see Anorac. Diolch yn fawr iawn I bawb am ddod mas ar nos Iau I gefnogi Anorac ac I weld e. And we hope you enjoyed it. Gobeithio wnaethoch chi joio fe. And Gruff is the brilliant director who worked so hard on Anorac.
It's a beautiful film. I was saying earlier, it made me feel, I'm going all Welsh now. No, I don't sound this Welsh in London normally. It made me feel very homesick. Was that something you intended on?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Is this
specifically me?
Oh, right, yeah.
Me personally. No, I'm kidding.
No. I mean, it's hopefully it's a snapshot of the Welsh music scene. It's an entry point, I think, into it's obviously hopefully interesting for people who are into the music in the first place, but hopefully it's opening doors and showing kind of people in Wales even, and people obviously outside Wales, hopefully this evening, that what's going on, and there's a vibrant music scene happening in a language which is kind of rarely spoken.
So tell us a bit about how it came about, and like how did this start out?
Well, we've been working together on TV programs for years, and they're music programs for S4C, which is obviously the Welsh TV channel, and obviously that's an audience, obviously a Welsh language audience. I'm not sure exactly how many non-Welsh speakers would watch our programs, and I was always thinking that maybe it could be a good idea, a nice idea to try and make a film where you can get it seen in places like this, and then hopefully like I said, open doors, ears and eyes to a music scene that people possibly don't really know it's there, and then. It's a long story. I'll try and keep it short. We filmed the first 10 minutes, which is the first 10 minutes of the film. We filmed the first 10 minutes, the Cardiff bit, as a taster tape, just to try and raise the budget to make the whole thing. And that was a successful event. So, but then we thought, why not try and crack on, and we self-financed it, and you might not realise, but I know it feels like 4 days, but it was shot over 3 years. So
and that was my next question. I was going to ask, was it actually 4 days?
Yeah, I wish it was. That's
I
why
was thinking that
my
the whole way
hair
through.
goes like mad in some interviews, and then it's shorter in the other. That's why I wear 4 different pairs of trainers throughout the 4 days. I don't have 2 pairs of trainers every day or anything.
I've just realised, is that why you had the Anorac as well?
Well, that's the theme. That's the constant throughout it. And then we'd go to different parts of Wales, and Wales is small, but it can take 4.5 hours to get from north to south.
See, I was thinking, there's no way this is 4 days, because Arriva Trains Wales are not that reliable.
True, yeah.
And every time I saw an Arriva logo, I was like, how delayed was that, though?
Yeah. I mean, some of the bands have gone quiet since the making of the film. It shows the strength of the scene, that there's a lot of new names that aren't in the film because we didn't really know about them. There's a lot of legends not in it. It's not a definitive guide to Welsh language music. It shows, hopefully, some of the interesting artists who were around when we were making the film. It shows that it's difficult. It's not, hopefully, over romantic or overly anything. Hopefully it's just an interesting snapshot of what's going on. I mean, I think Wales looks beautiful on it. Your question about being homesick, it's always interesting to see things that you're familiar with through a different director or photographer's point of view, isn't it? And what did you say? It's fit.
Said it's fit.
It is fit.
Fancy
looks
Wales.
fit, yeah.
Does anyone else fancy Wales?
It did look nice.
Yes,
and
I'm
that's
hitting on a
down to
country.
Griff's beautiful camera shots, you know, and all the programmes that Griff still makes for S4C now. It's got his touch on it, you know. And that's why I wanted to be involved with it, because it gives a different slant on what Wales is at the moment.
You mentioned that the scene has changed a little bit. Is there anyone that you wish you'd got now?
Oh, there's loads, yeah.
There must be tons.
Yeah, there's loads of, and that's the strength of that's a testament to the strength of the scene, that we could make another. We won't, but we could make another film of
with different bands. Not, you know, obviously we'd pick some again, but I think things have changed really, to be honest, since we were filming this in 2015, 2016 mainly. Things have changed, and you know, new bands have come along and are really exciting. But then, you know, what's there is there, and we're happy with it.
So the thing I found very interesting, and it's also something that I find in my personal relationship to Welsh as well, is sort of this conflict between sort of the Welsh and English. You know, you when you spoke to a couple of the bands about, you know, whether they'd end up singing in English and stuff like that. Is that something that is quite big in that scene, where it's like this constant struggle of, oh, should we just give in and just speak English or sing in English?
I don't think it's giving in. I think it's and I think less so. Hopefully, you'll get that from the film. It's less of an issue now than it was when even Super Furry Animals were breaking out, and we hadn't really had Welsh language bands enter the charts in English before, really. You know, we'd had English language bands from Wales in the charts singing in English. That was normal, but so it kind of questioned the whole establishment of the Welsh language in a way, and question everything, which is great. You know, it moves everything forward and it changes things, and people have different opinions and perspectives. So I don't think it's an issue anymore. I think
things have moved on to a good place at the moment. That I wouldn't say the majority, but you know, let's say 50%. You know, half the bands in that film possibly sing and record in both languages. So that's not an issue anymore, is it? That's the point, I think. You know, they do what they want to do. It's up to them. And I think it's got to a place which is quite a mature place, really, where bands sing in both languages. You know, people don't kind of get on their backs and complain.
Yeah, that's good.
But
that's good. Because there used to be I definitely felt like there used to be a lot of that. Maybe when I was younger.
Yeah. Well, I think Super Furry Animals, you know, they definitely changed things in a big way. And, you know, I mean, the truth about the Super Furries really is the majority of their songs are in English. But, you know, that's not, you know, they've never, you know, I'm not the one to speak on their behalf, obviously, but I think they're still very much a Welsh band. And obviously they did Mung, which was an amazing album, possibly their best, in my opinion. So no, things have moved on, and it's quite I think the scene is in a good place.
Yeah, people say it's going through a golden period at the moment, and I think it's down to the whole music infrastructure changing. People do things themselves. I think streaming has helped every artist the world over, in whichever language they sing, minority languages or minority genres or whatever. People just, as long as the music's good, then it's got a chance of getting heard and being, you know, getting new life into it. So that's part of what's happened as well, and that's changed in the last, since we started making this film. You know,
that was something I wanted to ask you about, was like the effect of the internet. Just in general, like you feel it's had a positive net effect for something like Welsh? Yeah,
I think so. Songs can sit on playlists and be listened to the world over, and artists can just release records and songs online on streaming services or to buy without worrying about the cost of pressing and things like that. So that's been a positive.
Well, you know, one thing also to add to, you know, like, you know, I was saying, it's in a good place where, you know, it's not such an issue anymore whether bands have some English language songs in their set or record, you know, English language songs on their CDs. But then you've got Gwenno, as an example, who's really, you know, she's released she's not compromised at all. You know, she's released, you know, 3 years ago, her Welsh language album, which did really well, and, you know, And then, you know, last year, or was it this year, you know, the Cornish album came out, you know. So in a way, it shows just the confidence, really, that people, you know, people like Gwenno has, and that can only be a good thing.
So I think we've got about 5 minutes left, so I figured I'd see if there's anyone in the audience who has any questions. Don't be shy. Oh, there's one here.
Legend.
Yay! I think we've got a mic over there.
Diolch, Huw, diolch. Really good. Can I ask a question? Well, it's not a question, it's a statement. Right, because I'm a bolshy bastard. Right, now, if you look at all the bands that you had and all the ones that come through, you go, and in order of awesomeness, Adwaith, HMS Morris, Gwenno, Nine Bach, etc., what they've all got in common, they've got Welsh women very at the front are going, come on. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and
see, not a question. Statement.
It's a statement.
Welsh women are badass.
That Welsh women are badass. Yeah.
Georgia Ruth is in the film. Nine Bach, you know, Lisa Jane. It's you know.
I like the picking up on picking up on your statement. One of my favourite bits about making the film was eating around Wales, and Griff would say you have to have a fry up in this cafe now. It's like, oh god, if I have to, and stuff my face, and and one of them is in Caffi Becca, which is, where is Caffi Becca? That bit, where was that?
Just outside Crymych.
Just outside Crymych, and that is named after Merched Becca, the men who would dress up as women in the olden days,
1850s,
in the
Wales's first drag queens.
1840s, to storm the Tosbirth, to storm the toll gates, and you know they do it in the middle of the night, and they would dress up as really strong Welsh women to do that. Picking up on your point.
All right, so Welsh women are badass. We knew this. Is a question down here?
Hello. One of the things Meg Stephens said was that one of the things that holds Welsh artists back is the fact that you can't make a living out of being a Welsh artist singing in Welsh. And then that's Bluggy part saying that, you know, the scene is ripe and everything's going on. What do you think is the biggest thing that needs to change? Can the digital age help that? Or can it maybe hold it back because of people complaining about the stream sales coming from stuff like Spotify as much as actually selling a physical record and stuff? So I just want to hear your opinion on that.
That's a good question.
I think it's hard for a musician, full stop, whichever language they sing in. It's tough making a living out of music. There are, Mike Stephens is, he won the Welsh Music Inspiration Award last night in Cardiff, and he's done so much, and he loves a controversial statement, and he'll say things like that, all the time. He said it yesterday. Said, there is no scene. Of course there's no scene, although he's been part of it for 50 years, and, there's something going on. There's always something going on, and there are labels. Whether they do it professionally and full-time, there are people who do it, but they are exceptions, and they have to work really hard to make a living out of music. So with the streaming side of things, I think any musician, as far as I know, will say that it's tough unless you're in the millions of plays to get money out of that. So you do the traditional things, you gig, and maybe that's why there's lots of interesting gigs, because it's back to making money out of playing live, even though that's not a lot either. So the media steps up, and you've got, the traditional media, and you have obviously the BBC, and within S4C, the programmes Griff's been making for the last decades. Well, yeah, decades. Well, 20, 30 years probably. You've been making music programmes for S4C, haven't you? 20. That's all important as well, and that helps. Does that? Yeah. So it's obviously very tough, but I think bands like Nine Bach and Gwenno, and if you want to travel outside and and you're really great, then you can, and if you're willing to do that, then there are endless possibilities, which is why it's exciting. I
think we've got time for one more question.
Don't all rush at once now. Yeah, down the front. America in the house.
I was going to ask, because I loved the way it was shot and everything, and I loved all of the bands playing in different spaces. what made you decide what bands played in what spaces? Did it have to do something with them and their personal experience, or was it just?
They generally come from those places, and I guess because it was kind of it's not a road movie obviously, but it's it's a travel thing. Then the places, hopefully most of them are either a couple of cafes, a bus stop, some record shops, and so generally is trying to keep the whole theme of the road movie. And they all the bands, I think most of the bands, they actually come from those places. So it's finding a location where, which is relevant to them.
Have you been to Wales?
I haven't.
Would you go
You
after
have to
watching
go
the
now.
film? Yay! We should get Visit Wales to sponsor the film. That's what we should do.
That's such a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Send it to the tourism board.
Yeah.
Right, we'll have to get you to send them a testimonial, I reckon. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Diolch,
Thanks
Elena.
for coming.
I'm sorry, I
everybody.
feel
Thank
so
you.
bad I
Diolch
haven't
yn fawr
spoken,
iawn.
Yeah.
spoken a word of Welsh up here. So diolch yn fawr.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks. And please tweet about the film. And thanks, Doc and Roll.
Thank you.
Thanks.